Hi everyone, I'm Ghost Note, and in this video I'm just going to do a quick review of the new and reworked skill gems in Synthesis 3.6. I'm not going to go over all the numerical and like radius changes and balance changes to like a lot of this other stuff. It's just going to be the new and reworked stuff. So not nearly as many as it looks like right here. And I'm just going to give my impressions of what I think of them. So first up is Purifying Flame. This is one of the new holy skills. Deals physical damage, 50% converted to fire. Base duration of 4 seconds. That's the area that it targets and drops consecrated ground at. And then a shockwave goes forth from that point that you targeted, spreads out, hits stuff, and does damage to stuff in the consecrated ground where they were hit. This has a bigger radius of consecrated ground as well as just the radius in which it hits as it levels. The 10% increased area of effect is the quality. Shockwave deals 25% less damage, so that aftershock deals slightly less damage. But this seems pretty standard, the kind of starter kit of the holy skills, so to speak. I think it'll be good. Nothing amazing. You can convert a lot of it with some of the new nodes on the tree, some gear, or you could just go to Avatar Fire if you want to simplify things and make it 100% fire. But yeah, that's probably how I would do it, or convert at least all of it to elemental. Wave of Conviction. This is a little wonky, a little strange. Does a lot of physical damage. Again, 25% of physical converted to fire, and it says below to 25% converted to lightning. So you've got 25 of each, so there's the possibility that you could also then do 50% of it as cold if you wanted to. The reason I say that is because exposure, which it applies when it hits things, reduces elemental resistance matching the highest damage taken of the skill. So say you did like 1,000 fire, 1,000 lightning, and 2,000 cold, it would lower cold resistance by 25%. So it's got that kind of thing. The base duration of this is 0.5 seconds. I'm not exactly sure why it's a duration. It says that it damages enemies in a cone-shaped area over a duration. So I don't know if the cone, as it spreads out, can damage enemies multiple times if they stay within it, like over a certain duration. I don't know if increasing the duration would increase the number of times they could be damaged. I'm not sure just how that works. The base secondary duration is the exposure debuff, I would say. And then 20% elemental damage is the quality, 38% increased skill effect duration. I don't know if that's already reflected in the gem or not. I would say not, so I don't know if that impacts both the duration of the wave, which again, I don't know quite how it works, and the exposure, or how that works exactly. It's a little bit strange. It'll probably need some testing, but it looks okay. It looks like it might be a little bit hard to use, but it covers a large area, so that's good. Divine Ire. This is a channeled skill, so when you channel, you zap enemies around you as you channel, so you're clearing out stuff, and then when you stop channeling, depending on the number of stages that you've channeled up to, it releases this giant laser of energy that zaps things in a line in front of you. It's been confirmed that it stacks to 10 stages, not 20 now. They changed that, probably just to make the skill feel less unwieldy. It does physical damage. Damages 5 nearby enemies when you gain stages. So whenever you gain a stage as you're channeling, it's going to shoot out little tendrils and damage them. So that's kind of like your clear of it. I don't know how good it'll be. We'll see. It didn't look like it had a long reach, but yeah. 10% increased area of effect is the quality. 50% of physical converted to lightning damage. So again, you can convert this all with gear and new tree nodes if you want, or you can do like a dual elemental thing if you'd like. Deals 70% more damage with ailments per stage after the first. So if you wanted to do this 100% lightning, then use like say a stormfire, do an ignite that way. It's going to do a lot of ignite damage, so you could probably do an ignite build with this. 50% less damage while channeling. That's the little zappy zaps around you, so again, they're not amazing. The beam deals 100% more damage with hits per stage after the first, so up to either 900 or 1,000, depending on how that works. I'm not exactly sure. Anyway, it does a lot more damage, so your big zap at the end does a lot. 40% chance to gain an additional stage when hitting a normal or magic enemy, so you can potentially gain more stages as you're channeling, and it always gains an additional stage when it hits a rare or unique enemy, so you have to be near them and hit them with the zappy zaps, but you'll build up stages faster on rare and uniques, which is nice. I don't know how good this will be for clear. Should be really good for single target, I would think. It's got a really low cast time, 0.22 seconds, and if you use it with, say, something like Trickster, which it would go really well with, you can get a really snappy quick cast time and probably build up those stacks really quick. So it could just be that you're zapping things left, right, and center with your Care Bear Stare. I don't know. It just depends on how it works out. Could be unwieldy, could be really strong. Bane is super strong. Bane is super strong, unless we're missing something. Uh, it only applies curses from skill gems requiring level 70 or lower. I think that's just to avoid a cast when damage taken situation again, so you can't have a low level Bane casting high level curses and applying a ton of them really easily, but not a big deal. Base chaos damage per second, so it's a damage over time. It's going to do it in an area. The base duration of it's 2 seconds, which is low, but wait. Modifiers to spell damage apply to this skills damage over time. Pretty standard. +3 radius. The game that is leveling. 47% more damage per curse applied. This is nuts because let's say you invest in a cultist and do the 3 curse thing with Whispers of Doom. That's 47% more for each one of the curses that are applied by that. Say you do Despair, Tempt, Chains, and Feeble. You're getting really good defense, some offense, and like 100 and I can't math more damage. 141% more damage. Is that right? Sounds right. 47 more. Yeah, 141% more damage for 3 curses. If you get even more curses with some gears, it gets even better. The only support gem that's actually better than straight up damage wise is Conk Effect that you can link with this. Efficacy is pretty good, but things like Swift Afflict and pretty comparable because it's got effect duration. But things like Swift Affliction, Void Manipulation are strictly worse, which is pretty nutty. So you just link more curses and get more flexibility, more support possibilities. Yeah, it's great. It also increases the debuff duration per curse applied. Again, really crazy. You can get it scaling up quite a bit for each curse, 50% increase more, so it's going to go up to like at base 150% more of 2, 3.5, 4.5, something like that. I don't know. More. I'm bad at math. Anyway, a lot more. Applied curses have 10% increased effect is the quality, which is also pretty good. The thing is, the curse nodes on the tree now apply to curse skills. A lot of them, like the AoE and cast speed and duration, apply to curse skills, which Bane is. So while you're investing into curses, you're also investing into the damage of Bane. Yeah, this should be really good. Soul Rend. Use it while you're waiting for your Bane to stop ticking. Yeah. Realistically, that is a good use for it. It does an upfront hit of chaos damage. It's a projectile that will swerve towards enemies, so it'll seek them out. It's sort of a heat seeker. It pierces, and then it pulses and applies a dot debuff to enemies that does a lot of damage. It has a really short duration. Now, depending on how this works, if the duration is sort of the marker for how often it pulses that AoE debuff, then lowering the duration will probably be better. It'll do less damage, but it'll have more chance to pulse and again apply it again. So it'll be like quick little snippets of dot damage. If that's not the case, then probably increasing the duration is best to keep that dot going and get more of it, because it does it per second and the base duration is only 0.4 seconds. So if you can get more of it, you can increase your dot time. Slower proj might be good because it might allow the projectiles to linger in packs or near an enemy longer, so it can apply the dot more than once. It won't stack, I don't believe, but it can it'll apply it and keep applying it more the longer it's around. 20% increased chaos damage is the quality. Modifiers to spell damage affect with skills damage over time effect. That's standard. And then it also leeches 4% of spell damage as energy shield. Now, that's only the on hit, the initial on hit. That's not the damage over time thing. Leech is an on hit mechanic. So you'll be leeching some, and if you scale chaos damage at all, you'll be leeching back a good amount of energy shield. So that's pretty good. It also means that since it's got on hit, you could potentially, I guess, augment this with, added damage things. It's up to you if you wanted to do a straight hit version of this. Maybe. I don't know if I would do that, but you could. Added chaos will also apply to it. Zealotry, one of the 2 new auras, pretty straightforward. You and nearby allies have a 10% chance to consecrate your ground on hitting a rare unique enemy lasting 8 seconds, so you get it when you need it. It's sort of weird that you don't get it hitting normal and magics, but whatever. You and nearby allies have 39% increased spell crit chance. Pretty straightforward, good stuff. Fills in a gap if you didn't have a really good aura to use before. a good 50% reservation aura anyway. And you and nearby allies also deal just 15% more spell damage generically. So this could even be used with dot builds if you wanted to. I know some people are planning on using both this and Malevolence and reserving all their mana and then just using like an EB MOM type of deal, which is a pretty decent plan. Malevolence, pretty straightforward as well. This is your dot one. You and nearby allies deal 20% more damage over time, and you and nearby allies have 19% increased skill effect duration. Good for those chaos dots to make them hit harder and last longer. Very straightforward. Holy Flame Totem. This seems okay. It used to be holy or just regular Flame Totem. Then it went to church, I guess. Does physical damage now. 50% of it's converted to fire. So again, you can do the conversion shenanigans. It fires 2 additional projectiles. It always did that, but apparently they spread wider, cover a wider area, and go further. So that's good. It also gains projectile speed as it levels. Projectile speed is good for it because the way they work, they will reach longer. The more projectile speed they have, they'll travel further. So that's good. It's good for its reach. And the Consecrated Ground grants immunity to curses to you and your allies is just sort of like a thematic, flavorful thing, I think, more than anything. I mean, it's okay to have, but it means you need to stand close to your totem. Like, it actually creates the Consecrated Ground around it. The totem does, but you'd have to be standing close to it, standing in that to be immune to curses. And you've got warding flasks. I don't know. It's just sort of like, like you're standing on consecrated ground. You can't be cursed. All praise the holy flame totem. That type of thing. It's a fun little ad. Stormburst. This is again sort of a holy type spell now. It does physical damage, and then 50% of it's converted to lightning. You can convert the whole thing if you'd like. And again, that synergizes well with the new nodes on the tree. It has 10% increased AoE for quality. And the exploding orbs deal 75% of skill damage for each 0.4 seconds of remaining duration. Now, this is a little bit wonky. We didn't realize this, but this is kind of cool, actually. So it starts out with a base duration of 1.2 seconds. Now, you've got to channel a little bit. So it's going to spread out these orbs, and these orbs are going to like slowly move towards things, crawling out like little tendrils. And damaging things. And then when you release, depending on how much duration is left on those orbs that start with 1.2 seconds, it's going to do 75% of the skill damage for each 0.4 seconds remaining. So what that means is that increased duration officially becomes like a direct damage increase boost for this skill. So do you want the increased effect gem? Maybe. Do you want skill effect duration? Absolutely. It's just really kind of a cool thing that we haven't seen before, other than like increasing the duration of your dots. But this mechanically is a little bit different, and I think it's really neat. If you can increase the duration of the orbs that it spits out, then you can increase the damage of them by 75% for each 0.4 seconds you can add to that. That's pretty neat. I like that. Intensify. This is pretty cool. Supported skills have 54% increased area of effect, so it's better than the increased area of effect gem already. Supported skills deal 10% increased area damage. That's the quality. And now, supported skills deal 16% more damage per intensity, and supported skills have 12% less area of effect per intensity. Supported skills gain intensity when used. So what happens is you'll stop, you start casting, you spam calculate, you hold down your button saying you're casting. When you're doing that, you're building up intensity stacks. It doesn't necessarily say how fast, but it is a maximum of 4 stacks, I believe, is what they've said. So you can get up to, what is that, 4 times 6, 64% more area damage, which is better than concentrated effect. Is concentrated 59 or 69? Anyway, it's pretty comparable regardless. So really good. But you get less area of effect. So what you're doing is you're shrinking your area, but you're making it more focused and intensified, right? They did initially called this spell focus. This is real, and then supported skills lose intensity every 0.25 seconds while moving or immediately if you teleport. So if you move, you lose your intensity. If you walk, or if you teleport, you lose your intensity immediately. If you walk, then you lose it every 2.25 seconds. You lose a stack until you go down to 0. So as long as you're standing still and casting, you will build up your intensity. And you will do more area damage, less AoE. This is really good for spells that like cast things from the sky. Like I'm thinking like Firestorm, Ice Storm, Bladefall. What was the Storm Call? Right, sorry. I'm sure it's good for other things too. Those are just the immediate things I think of where when you want your single target, you're looking to really focus that. And it works really well if you can do that with those skills, just because of the way they work. So works really good for those. I'm sure it'll work good for other things. Unleash is sort of the inverse of that where is okay. First of all, supported skills deal 10% increased damage. That's the quality. Supported spells gain a seal every 0.71 seconds, which is a really strange number. So every 2.13 seconds, you'll have up to a maximum of 3 seals, as long as you're not casting. Supported spells are unsealed when cast, and their effects reoccur for each seal lost. And supported skills deal 26% less damage when reoccurring. So you're running around, you haven't had a chance to cast for a little bit, or you're running pack to pack, you've built up these seals, and then when you unleash your spell, you repeat it 1, 2, or 3 times, depending on how many seals you have. So up to 4 casts of a spell. This is really good for fights where you need to be mobile, and you kind of need to, like, it's sort of like a catch-up mechanic for damage for spells that can't consistently damage, like brands or dots and stuff like that. It's sort of a catch-up mechanic where you can just unload some damage that you've been saving up because you had to dodge before. So it's kind of a neat way to close the gap for things that couldn't reliably deal damage while being mobile before. Energy leech support. This is pretty good. It's way better than mana and life leech supports, which I don't totally get, but anyway. Supported skills have 10% increased damage while leeching energy shield. That's the quality. Not bad. Supported skills have 1.9% of damage leached as energy shield. That's good. A good number. More than you can get on the tree. Should be enough to sustain you, I would think. Supported skills deal 24% more damage while on full energy shield, which you're hoping if you're leeching and being cautious and not getting hit too much, you are a lot of the time. And then supported skills just deal 39% more damage while leeching energy shield. So just as soon as you hit with this, assuming you're not on full energy shield, but if you are, you're still getting 24%. So you're doing more damage if you're not hurt, and you're doing even more damage if you are hurt. This is sort of an interesting kind of twist on like a damage on full life for spells type of thing. It's really good if you're looking to gain energy shield back in any type of build, EBMOM, CI, low life, stuff like that. You'll use this. It's really solid. It's a solid both defensive and offensive support. Yeah, it's really good, and I don't understand why this isn't roughly equivalent. Maybe next patch. And finally, infused channeling. I really like this. Totems can't gain infusion, so you can't use this with Holy Flame Totem, which I was thinking maybe you could. Still don't know if you can use cast while channeling with Holy Flame Totem. I would like to see. My guess is no. Something to test, though. Infusion lasts 6 seconds after you finish channeling. So the buff that you get lasts 6 seconds after you're done, which is really nice. It's a nice window of time. Gain infusion after channeling a supported skill for 0.6 seconds, so it builds up really fast. 0.6 is pretty quick. Supported skills just deal 39% more damage. That's a nice more damage multiplier just in and of itself. If it just had that, it'd still probably be pretty good. But it's got more, obviously. While channeling supported skills, take 8% less physical damage from hits. This is similar to how Storm Barrier was before. Infusion grants 10% more damage of types matching supported skill gems tags, and while channeling a supported skill, take 8% less damage from hits of types matching the skill gems tags. So as far as I can see this, how this works, I will go back here to Stormburst and explain. Stormburst has the AoE, spell, lightning, and channeling as far as damage tags go. Duration, technically it's a damage tag for Stormburst, but it's not really a damage tag per se. So it's got those 4 tags, right? At any given time, it's either doing spell, lightning, and channeling damage, or AoE, spell, and lightning damage. It can't do both its channeling and AoE at the same time. However, does that mean, and I believe it does, that infusion will grant 10% more damage for lightning damage of Stormburst, channeling damage of Stormburst, and spell damage of Stormburst while I'm channeling, so 30% more damage there, and then 30% more damage for AoE, or 10% each for AoE, spell damage, and lightning damage for 30% total when I release it. And then will I also take less damage of those types while I'm channeling it, so less lightning damage taken, less AoE damage taken, less channeling damage taken, less spell damage taken. I don't know, man. This seems to This seems to fit into any channeling build. It's really good. I don't see how you don't. Again, it's good, solid defensively and offensively, and potentially really, really, really strong. Like lots more damage. Yeah, this is just a good support gem, and I like it, but it's strong. That's about it for me, I guess. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave comments, questions below, whatever. Subscribe, feel free if you liked it. Leave my my Twitch in the description. It's Ghost Note Live, but I will put it down there. And yeah, that's about it for me, guys. Have a good one. Bye bye.